I'm not gonna tell you how much I paid for it, because it was a lot. Either I flip the bird or have a sour look on my face. One time I just stood up and yelled, I was robbed. Baby, don't make me hit you one more time. If you guys knew how many calls like that I've had to make in my career, it's countless. Hi you guys, I'm Kathy Griffin and welcome to another episode of Kathy Griffin Talk Your Head Off. Okay, this one's gonna be really special. First of all, I wanna thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. And also, don't forget, I have my latest stand-up comedy special on here for free on YouTube. It's free, it's called Kathy Griffin, My Life on the PTSD List. And if you haven't seen it, watch it. And if you watched it once, watch it again. Remember when I had Melissa Rivers, daughter of the late, great Joan Rivers, as my guest on this show? Well, that episode was really popular with you guys, and it was great to see Melissa, and I, of course, did her podcast, and she's great, and we've known each other for years, and all this other stuff. So we talked about a lot. Go back and watch it if you get a chance. Now, after that episode, because I was helping promote the auction she was having of Joan Rivers memorabilia, because who better to have the auction but her daughter, Melissa. And so I scored some items that I'm here to brag about. You ready? These are the doggies. All right, I'm gonna put you over here for 1 second. All right, I know. Just stay here for 1 second. What about these? These are Hermes shoes. They were worn by Joan. So I am literally, well, I'm sitting, but I will literally be walking in Joan Rivers shoes. I'm gonna sit cross-legged again, hold on. Oh, gotta get comfortable. In the episode that I did with Melissa, I was wearing a pair of blue high heels that Joan gave me. I knew that Joan and I have the exact same shoe size. So I had to bid on these Hermes shoes, and they have a really cool heel. Like, they're somewhat comfortable. I'm not great in heels, but they're suede. And so they're not like totally pinching my foot. Anyway, the point is they're Joan's, and I get to walk in her shoes. And God love Joan. She did stand up in heels until the day she died. And I can't do stand up in like real heels anymore. But another thing that came up on the auction, I didn't even have it in mind when I was looking, but then I thought about all the times that I'm in hair and makeup. So what that means is I have a whole room here in my house that I call the glam room. So when I get my hair and makeup professionally done, like today, because I can't do this, there's fake lashes, and some of the hair came out of my head, some of the hair I own. You know, it takes a team to put me together. Melissa was selling her mom's dressing coats. And so I bought 2 of them. First of all, teal, so amazing color. And there's a zipper, and I remember when Joan would wear these, like if you went to her house, this would be her idea, sort of like loungewear. She wore it in her one-woman show, because she did a bunch of costume changes in that show. And I just couldn't resist, so I bought 2 of them. So now if you come over, I might greet you at the door in a Joan Rivers beautiful, I mean, my mother would have said muumuu, but this is like too dressy for muumuu, because my mom's muumuus were from Target, and this one is, it's even got shoulder pads. It's fantastic. Now, the coup de grace, thank you, is, this is the item that I wanted, and Melissa had a preview for the auction. And I just went up to her and I said, okay, like, what's the best thing? I know it's all amazing. It's all fantastic. There were joke cards that were framed, iconic. I mean, this is the one and only Joan Rivers, right? So she says, you've got to get the Chanel bag. Don't be scared. This was Aunt Joan's, remember Joan? This was her favorite Chanel bag. I can't tell you how many times we had lunch or dinner and she would come in with this bag. And so the bidding started and I just had to have it. And it's funny because I've never done an auction before. And it's funny how they call it winning, like you won something. So, I'm not gonna tell you how much I paid for it, because it was a lot. Because I said to Melissa, besides it being your mom's, what's amazing about it? And she's like, it's a real vintage Chanel bag. And it's got the buckle that Lagerfeld put his signature on. You know, that was like his signature thing. But I just love that there's this little tear which I think I should keep in honor of Joan, because she would always come in and she would either be holding it or have it on her shoulder like this. All right, you go to the other dogs for safety. I'm gonna open it and just know there's like a little piece of Joan's memory every time I open it. And every time I pick up a tab, which she always did, by the way, but we would always have a race to see who could pick up the tab. And so anyway, I just love that I get to have these pieces of memorabilia from my dear departed friend, and I don't know, I'm gonna get emotional, but they're very special. Sorry, I forgot this. So Melissa gave me this as a gift, which is really cool. It's one of Joan's cue cards from Fashion Police, and she would put them on the floor, and this one says, "Can't wear yellow anymore. It's too matchy-matchy with my catheter." And of course it's meaningful to me because of Joan, but also I did a poll online one time and said, okay, Kathy Griffin fans, what do you guys want to be called? Like Gaga has Monsters, Taylor Swift has Swifties, and what won the poll was catheters. So you guys are my catheters, and I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. In light of the fact that I just showed you what I got from the Joan Rivers auction, I decided to do some pictures that are going to be surprises to me of me with celebrities, and every picture has a story, and I have no idea what photos my assistant Jonathan chose for you guys, but let's go. All right, Jonathan, what's the first one? Oh, this is great. Okay, so here I am with Ozzy Osbourne, and the way I know so many musicians is what I call the charity circuit. Songwriter and singer extraordinaire Linda Perry called me up and she said, I'm having a charity event. Her wife, Sarah, was co-hosting the talk with Sharon Osbourne, and Sharon said, I can get Ozzy to come perform. I had met Ozzy maybe briefly, didn't know if he remembered. You know, I could never understand what Ozzy said. That's why The Osbournes was such an amazing reality show, because half the time you're trying to read the captions and see what Ozzy said. He was one of a kind. He was always so sweet to me. And let me tell you something. This night, I see Ozzy backstage, and I'm joking with Sharon, because she's a friend of mine, and I'm like, Sharon, have you seen your husband? You're telling me that guy is gonna go perform? And she was laughing, and I said, look at him. He looks like he's lost. He's slumped over. He's going and picking at the food, but he doesn't know what he wants to eat. He's supposed to go out there and rock the house and do like 6 songs. And he did. Another thing I loved about Ozzy is, as a music fan, I thought his voice was so singular. You know, like nobody had that sound in their voice like Ozzy Osbourne had. So we lost him recently, but I loved him, and we took many pictures together over the years, and I love Sharon. And Sharon, once again, I'm sorry for your loss. And Ozzy, I know you're in heaven because you're singing and having a good laugh, and we don't know what you're saying. All right, the next one, this is a surprise to me, is, oh my gosh. Okay, here I am with the diva herself, the one and only Celine Dion. Okay, I've known Celine Dion for so many years because of making fun of her in my act and all my specials. And when I say making fun of her, I mean with love. I mean, she is truly a legend, an icon. She's gonna have a residency in Vegas against all odds. She is suffering from an illness called stiff person's disease. If you don't know it, she's talked about it. So she's an activist in that space as well. And I've seen her live at award shows many times. This was a time that I got to go backstage and say hi to her, because whenever I would go see her live, she was nice enough to let me come back and say hi. And sometimes her husband would be there, Renee Angélil, and she knew I was gonna make fun of Renee. I mean, I was just vicious to him. I would just go for him because I couldn't resist. And she would laugh. And she said the greatest thing to me, it was maybe the greatest compliment I ever got. One time I was hosting an award show that she was singing at, and she ran out of her dressing room and she goes, Kathy. And I thought, oh God, I'm in trouble. And I go, hi, Celine. And she goes, am I still in your act? And I go, yes, Celine, trust me, you will always be in the act. And she goes, good. That is how I know I am still hot. I mean, it doesn't get better. I love her. Go see her when she's in Vegas. Support her in any way you can. And I'm very proud of this picture. Okay, so here I am with another Songbird, Broadway Beyond Tony winning star, Galinda herself, Kristen Chenoweth. And oh my gosh. So this is the two of us getting ready for probably the Emmys, because we went to the Emmys together one year. So this is probably us in hair and makeup for the Emmys. And I don't know if I'm standing on a box or what, but it makes it look like I'm a giant. And she is Galinda. And the "ga" is silent. But she is just a tiny little pixie of a girl. And the next picture, okay, I love this picture. Yes, it was absolutely the Emmys because we both lost. So we went to this restaurant called Boa afterwards, and there were paparazzi outside. So I said to her, well, we both lost the Emmy, and we're both in full hair and makeup, and we have long dresses on and everything. Let's at least go have our picture taken. They'll probably be outside Boa. And we did. I think it's even still daylight. Like, I think we lost and then left or something. But here we are, both jokingly about to use knives. And I think I might have used a fork as well. And we were laughing because, you know, when you lose an award, they show you in the box, they show like, and the nominees are, and they show all the celebrities in their boxes. And then when you lose, you're supposed to do this. But inside, you're dying because the camera guy is right there. So you never know. You're like, well, I've won and I've lost. And so, like one time when I won, when I saw the camera guy run over to get my reaction, I was like, oh my gosh, I think this means I won. So then the next year, same thing happened. The camera guy runs over and I lost. And he was just trying to get my reaction going, yay. So I try to make a habit of every time I lose an award, either I flip the bird or have a sour look on my face, or one time I just stood up and yelled, I was robbed, which is why I don't get asked to go to a lot of award shows, unless I'm nominated. That way they can't keep me out. So if there's an award going around, nominate me for it. I promise I'll deliver. Okay, this is so epic. You can look this up on YouTube. So this is when I was co-hosting the Billboard Live Music Awards with NSYNC, and I mean the whole band, all 5 of them. And Britney and Justin were still together, and they were at the height of their Britney and Justin. And I wrote a little sketch where Britney and I were fighting over Justin. It was only a couple of lines. I actually talk about this, and I talk about the behind the scenes of this moment in my special, which you can currently see here on YouTube for free, called Kathy Griffin, My Life on the PTSD List. Let's get those views up. Also, like and subscribe. So back to this photo. First of all, look how pretty Britney looks. She's beautiful. I met her, the first time I met Britney, she was dressed like the naughty schoolgirl in the Hit Me One More Time outfit, and she was opening for NSYNC. And I remember I was backstage at an NSYNC show. I was Joey Fatone's guest, maybe Lance Bass's. I know them the best. Anyway, you know, when you're doing an award show and they have you do like a little sketch. So I thought, well, we'll do the obvious, you know, Britney, Kathy fight over Justin. And then he comes in and says like, okay, ladies, there's enough for me to go around. You can watch the clip of it. But what I remember about this was that Britney was such a big star. She couldn't come to rehearsal. So we had to rehearse for just a couple of minutes right before we went out on live network television together at the MGM Stadium. Like, I think it holds like 10,000 people at that big room at MGM. And, you know, there were country fans and R&B fans, and it was the height of the boy bands. It was like 2002 or something like that. And We rehearsed backstage. And like I said, I get into more detail about this in my special. So if you think this is juicy, go check out the special. And then when we were rehearsing, Pink walks up to say hi to Britney. And because we were rehearsing and we were about to go right out on stage in front of all those people, plus the network television audience, which is millions, I just turned to Pink and I just said, give us 1 second, or we're rehearsing, or something like that. And then that Monday after the award show, I got a call from Pink's manager, and he said Pink was really upset because I was really rude to her backstage, and I have to apologize. And I said, wait, hold on, it's a misunderstanding. I said, first of all, I'm happy to apologize to Pink. I think she's amazing, and I would never want to offend her in any way. But I do remember asking her to hold off for 1 second because I had to rehearse this little skit with Britney and Justin. And it was such a weird phone call. And if you guys knew how many calls like that I've had to make in my career, it's countless. Oh, this one is so meaningful. Okay, so here I am with the late, great Robin Williams. Now, let me tell you something. I talk about Joan Rivers a lot. I talk about Down Gurrl a lot. And I talk about the legends that were kind to me along the way. But Robin Williams was in a class of his own. First of all, an improviser like I am. And so he didn't tell traditional jokes. I don't tell traditional jokes in my act. So it was revelatory for me to watch him on the come up because I knew I didn't know how to tell standard setup punchline types of jokes. I was an improviser, and here's this guy with a mind that is so quick, no one can keep up. And you're still laughing from the last bit when he's on to the next bit. And he always went out of his way to be nice to me. And to this day, I don't know why. I know he saw me bomb one time really badly. I don't know if you guys remember, but there used to be a show called Comic Relief. And it was a really big deal. And it was on HBO, which is now HBO Max. And it was spearheaded by Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg, and Robin Williams. And they had it year after year. It was a charity benefit for unhoused people. And the biggest stars in comedy would be asked to perform at this live event. And it was an event. It was back in the days when you would make sure everyone was in front of the TV at the same time. I mean, I think they were doing it from maybe even pre-VCR, pre-TiVo, what we do now, pre-streaming, all that stuff. And I was only doing maybe 3 minutes, maybe 5, I can't remember. And I'm not great at that. Like, I'm still saying hello after 5 minutes. So I'm actually more comfortable doing 90 minutes than I am doing 3 minutes. So I had this bit that I had written about the Jerry Springer Show. And that was a show that used to be on kind of like the Maury Povich show, and he would have these outrageous characters, and they were real people, but they had been amped up by the probably backstage producers, and sometimes there would be physical fights, and it was like madness, and it was a really big deal in the 90s. So I had this bit about an episode of the Jerry Springer Show that I had either attended in person or seen on TV. Robin Williams goes out and he's gonna introduce me. First of all, that was mind-blowing. To be just me, and then to be from Forest Park, Illinois, trying to get into comedy, get on a sitcom eventually, playing a sidekick, become a stand-up, get to perform in Comic Relief, and then Robin Williams is introducing me. Like, I still can't get over it. So Robin gets up and he starts improvising about Jerry Springer and the Jerry Springer Show. So I'm backstage and I'm going, oh my gosh, it's gonna look like I stole material from Robin that he just did 4 seconds ago. And I didn't have a plan B. I was so new and I was so green. I went on and I bombed. I mean, you guys, I didn't get a laugh. Like, I could hear the click of my shoes as I walked off stage in shame. And remember, it was a live broadcast. So the whole world saw me bomb. And what happens? Robin Williams, who's in the middle of hosting this show with Whoopi and Billy, comes up to me and apologizes. He says, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I had no idea you were gonna do Jerry Springer material. I just was saying stuff off the cuff, and you're great, and don't worry about it." And I'm like crying, and I'm just like, oh God, I've brought down the whole show. And it was one of my worst bombs that I've ever had in my career, because it was on such a large scale. And then over the years, I would be lucky enough to run into him. I had a small part in a movie called Shakes the Clown, and Robin had a cameo in it, which means a small part. And I brought my mom and dad to the set so they could watch the filming, and they brought their folding chairs and their box of wine and their little paper cups. And Robin just couldn't sit still. So he just stood in the middle of the backstage area while they were filming other scenes and just improvised and performed. And my parents talked about that till the day they died, where they got to just witness the greatness of Robin Williams, just not being able to keep his talent inside, even in between scenes. And I remember one time I was doing the Jimmy Kimmel show. So they sent a driver to pick me up to make sure I get to the show on time. And I pull in and they said, "Someone is waiting for you." And I'm like, oh God, I'm in trouble. What did I do now? I haven't even gone on the show yet. And it was Robin. And so the window goes down and he puts his hand out and he goes, "I had to wait to see you. I heard you were coming in." Because he had done a pre-tape with Jimmy. And I said, "You waited for me?" And he goes, "Of course I am." He goes, "You think I'm gonna turn on the gay community? Of course I'm gonna wait for Kathy Griffin. I'll do it for the gays. I'll do it for the gays." And he was just being encouraging and just a delight, and a really, really special person, and a one-of-a-kind person that we really do miss every day. I can't top that, you guys. Robin Williams. I've got the Joan Rivers cue card Chanel bag. I'm wearing her Hermes shoes. I've got my doggies. I've got you guys. And let me just say on a personal note, this little show keeps me going. It really does. It keeps me from losing my mind. And I get to just put out this silly content for you. So please like and subscribe and get your friends to watch it. It's once a week. It's about a half hour. It's usually pretty light. Have a little fun. And thank you for watching this week's episode of Kathy Griffin Talk Your Head Off. See you next week.